In 1908, archaeologists excavating a palace on the island of Crete uncovered something completely unexpected. Not a statue, not a weapon, not even a piece of pottery. It was a clay disc, stamped with symbols arranged in a perfect spiral. 45 unique signs, 242 impressions, and a message no one has ever been able to read. For more than a century, linguists, historians, and cryptographers have tried to decode it, and every single attempt has failed. This is the mystery of the Phaistos Disc, one of the most puzzling objects ever discovered from the Bronze Age. But the real mystery isn't just what the disc says. It's why nothing else like it has ever been found. The disc was discovered in 1908 by an Italian archaeologist named Luigi Pernier. He was excavating the ruins of the ancient Minoan palace at Phaistos. This palace once belonged to a powerful and sophisticated society that historians call the Minoan civilization, which flourished on the island of Crete thousands of years ago. The artifact was found buried in a sealed archaeological layer, which dated it roughly to 1700 BCE at first glance. Instead of having writing carved by hand, the symbols had been stamped into the wet clay using individual seals. Think about that for a second. This means the disc may represent the earliest known example of movable type printing in history. This was a revolutionary technology, more than 3,000 years before Gutenberg's printing press transformed the world in the 15th century. It suggests that someone all those millennia ago had created a set of reusable stamps to print a message. But if this was a writing system, and a technologically advanced one at that, why has nothing like it ever appeared again? Why is the Phaistos disc one of a kind? That's where the mystery deepens. Let's take a closer look at the symbols themselves. The disc contains 45 unique signs. They're incredibly detailed, showing images of human heads, birds, tools, plants, weapons, and various geometric shapes. These signs spiral inward from the edge of the disc toward the center, creating a beautiful and enigmatic pattern. But what language does it represent? That remains the million-dollar question. Some scholars have suggested a connection to Linear A, another undeciphered script used by the Minoans. But while there are some similarities, the symbols on the disc just don't match closely enough for a definitive link. Other theories have proposed connections to all sorts of ancient languages. Some have tried to link it to Anatolian languages from what is now modern-day Turkey. Others have argued for ancient Greek dialects, or even Semitic languages spoken in the Middle East. Some have even suggested it's not a language in the traditional sense, but a record of ritual chants or a sacred song. The problem is, none of these theories have produced a convincing, verifiable translation. Maybe it's a set of instructions for a ritual. Or it could be something so entirely unexpected we haven't even thought of it yet. We simply don't know. Now, most ancient scripts are eventually deciphered. Take Egyptian hieroglyphs, for example. For centuries, they were a complete mystery. Then, the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, which had the same text in 3 different scripts including Greek, provided the key. The same goes for cuneiform, the wedge-shaped writing of Mesopotamia. It was deciphered through the study of thousands of clay tablets, which gave scholars enough material to find patterns and make connections. But the Phaistos disc presents a fundamental and incredibly frustrating challenge. There is only one known example. We have no duplicates. There are no bilingual inscriptions like the Rosetta Stone. There are no long texts to analyze for patterns and frequency. Without any other material to compare it to, decipherment becomes almost impossible. It's like trying to solve a crossword puzzle with only one clue. This is why even modern computational analysis, with all its power, has struggled to make any real progress. The computers can run endless simulations, but at the end of the day, the disk simply doesn't contain enough information on its own. It's a closed loop, a code without a key. This frustrating lack of evidence leads us to a more controversial question. What if the disk was never meant to be read in the first place? What if it's not what it seems? A small but vocal group of researchers have suggested a radical and, for many, an unthinkable idea. What if the disk is a forgery? A clever hoax created in the early 20th century to fool the world. Some critics argue that the symbols appear unusually neat and perfectly organized, almost too perfect for an ancient artifact. Others point to the most suspicious fact of all: the disc remains completely unique. If this printing technology existed, why don't we see it on other artifacts? For one, the artifact was discovered in a controlled excavation, in a sealed layer of dirt and debris consistent with other genuine Bronze Age materials. A forger would have had to be incredibly skilled to plant it so convincingly. More importantly, scientific testing backs up its age. A process called thermoluminescence testing, which can determine when a piece of clay was last fired, supports its antiquity, placing its creation thousands of years in the past. So today, the majority view among scholars is that the disc is genuine. It's the real deal. Which brings us right back to the original mystery. If it's real, who created it? And why did they only do it once? So, if it's not a hoax, what could it be? Several theories exist, each one trying to explain its purpose. Some scholars believe the disc may be a religious hymn or a ritual text, with the stamped symbols representing syllables or words to be chanted during a ceremony. Others propose it could be a calendar, marking important agricultural or astronomical events. One fun theory is that it's actually a board game, with the spiral path being the game board and the symbols providing instructions. Another possibility is that it's a magical incantation or a curse. It could even have been a teaching tool, an early printed document used to help scribes learn their symbols. But without additional examples, all these interpretations remain purely speculative. For now, the disc continues to sit in the Heraclean Archaeological Museum in Crete, silent, untranslated, waiting. The Phaistos Disc has survived for nearly 4,000 years. Entire empires have risen and fallen. Yet its message remains untouched, locked away behind a code we cannot crack. Or maybe they'll find a longer inscription that finally provides the key to unlock its secrets. Until then, the Phaistos Disc remains one of humanity's greatest undeciphered messages. It is a voice from the Bronze Age, still waiting to be heard. The Phaistos Disc might just hold both. Thanks for watching.